Hi, I'm Glenn Everett, Master of Machines. Join us as we take a look at Les's spectacular RP083 XA-GT Falcon Coupe, and that will take you for a drive in this iconic machine. And be sure to subscribe to our channel for more awesome content coming your way. I'm here to visit a good friend of mine by the name of Les. I'm told he's got a great little car collection, so let's go inside and check it out. You there, Les?
Yeah, mate. Come in.
How are you?
Oh, I'm good. How have you been?
Good, really good, mate.
Yeah, good to
Great
see you.
to see you. Good to see you too.
Yeah.
I've heard about your little collection here, and I've heard a lot about a very special car. Is this the car?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Mate, tell us all about it. Tell us the story from start to finish.
Well, it was produced in August 1973. It was pretty special. I know the guy bought it brand new. I used to service it and look after it for him when I worked at the Ford dealership.
I've heard there's something very special about the power plant, the engine in this car. Tell us all about that.
Back in those days, when they banned the Phase 4 project, Ford used to use all the parts in vehicles, and you'd get a Fairlane come through with a set of extractors on it or a Holly carburetor, and this was from the dealers, and this particular car got the full Phase 4 engine.
So effectively, for the viewers that don't know about this, this was all related to the muscle car scare, wasn't it, back in the early 70s, where the government was starting to clamp down on some of these high-speed rocket ships. They were worried about these kids getting in them and wiping themselves off, and they virtually told Chrysler, Ford and Holden to chop these projects, didn't they?
They did. Yeah, it was January 1973, the government put the axe to it.
So basically everything that was in development, including the Phase 4 GTHO,
yes,
which was well down the track towards production, had been chopped.
Yes, that's right.
So all the parts and the bits and pieces and engines and what have we that they had ready to go onto the line, they had to get rid of somewhere.
And that's what they did. They used them up in the everyday vehicles.
And this one got one?
This one got the whole engine.
So I've been told that the RP083 was a particular model of the XA-GT that got quite a few of those goodies, but to have just an engine put in the standard XA-GT is super duper rare, isn't it?
It's very rare. The RP083s never had solid camshafts. They all had hydraulic. This has actually got the works.
So effectively, when you stripped the engine down during the restoration, you found that solid camshaft in the engine?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So that is definitely proof.
Yep.
And what were some of the other things you found on the engine to prove that it was the real deal?
This is fairly rare. It's got a 4-bolt main, which not a lot of them did. It's got the original guide plates in the head for the solid camshaft. Yeah, that was about it. The extractors, Holly carburetor.
And the sump, did it have the big eared sump on it?
It has.
It had that too?
Yes.
I mean, that's a telltale sign, isn't it, really?
That's right. I don't think the original owner realised what he had at that point in time. Back in the day, in 73, there was no documentation of what they were doing with these engines or parts. They just used them up on different vehicles. The car was special because it went harder than any other one around at the time.
So tell us about the restoration of this car. Tell us from start to finish what you did. Did you strip the car right back down to nothing?
It was a full rotisserie restoration, a lot of work, and I started off myself doing a fair bit of it. I went to a good friend of mine, Steve Abdallah, who did a lot of the metal work and metal finished it. Then it went to the icon of painting GT Falcons, Trevor Davis.
He's awesome.
Yes, no, very good.
No wonder it's so shiny.
Yeah.
And as far as the mechanical side of things, who did the work on the car?
Myself.
So
Yep.
you've basically built everything yourself?
Yep.
Engine, drivetrain, the whole lot?
The lot. I took a lot of photos of the vehicle prior to disassembling it. All the paint marks on the diff, the gearbox, all the front end parts, in the engine bay, and I just redid them how they were. It was a lot of work, a lot of time, but the result shows now.
Well, it seems we've found out some amazing history on Les's XA-GT Coupe. thanks to Australian Classic Car History Services with one of their officially licensed deluxe ACS reports. The car was ordered with a whole host of goodies, but most importantly, this car is a genuine RPO 83. The most iconic option was the 83 option, the performance pack with the GTHO headers and Holy carb. But it wasn't any normal 83 performance pack. Luckily for the owner of this brand new vehicle in the day, Ford decided to slot in a genuine GTHO Phase 4 spec engine with a solid camshaft. Isn't that awesome? This car was actually one of 250 of this model built, one of 120 with this engine and transmission combination, and one of 4 with this paint colour. Also one of 2 with this paint and trim combination. Of this exact car, it was one of the same build specification. Now how rare is that? If you'd like an officially licensed ACS Deluxe report, seek out Australian Classic Car History Services via their website. It'll definitely be worth your while. Well, Liz, thank you so much for letting us have a look at your little collection here today, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure, and you've got some really interesting stuff. But I've got to say, the standout for me, the jewel in the crown, is this beautiful XA-GT Coupe. I wish I owned it.
It is pretty special, Glenn. Would you like a drive?
Are you serious?
I certainly am.
You're going to let me drive this car?
Certainly.
How could I say no? Let's do it! I can't believe it. What an animal. Let's take this thing for a drive. Sit tight. Well, I've got to say, I cannot believe that I am so privileged enough to be driving such a car. Right now, at this very moment, I am driving a car with Phase 4 heritage. That is extremely rare. This would have to be a one of a kind. Whilst there are RPO 83 based cars and others out there, to find something so unique like this to have been fitted with such an engine is super, super, super rare. I'll be honest, if I owned it, I probably wouldn't let anyone drive it. So, I feel quite emotional right now. The first thing you notice with this car is it's a grumpy machine. It's got the old clunky 4-speed top loader in it, definitely not for the faint-hearted. And the camshaft, she's a little bit grumpy around idle and just off idle. She lumps over and carries away at highway speeds, but you know what? That's what a muscle car's all about. You know, cars are different these days. They're very refined. They effectively drive like they're on air. Everything does everything for you. They've got traction control and stability control, and these are a raw car. The driver was in control. And to me, that's what matters. You're at one with the vehicle, especially when it's a muscle car. Now that's what I call power. You know what else I like about these old cars? Not too much in the way of electronic gizmos. Check this out. Now this is what I call a sunroof. Thing that goes the full length of the roof. I can't think of anything more awesome than driving around in a Phase 4 inspired vehicle with a sunroof looking up at those clouds. Of course, it is very important to look at where you're going. Well, there's nothing quite like a V8, is there? Especially when it's a growling Phase 4 inspired V8. It's definitely enough to get the heart racing, that's for sure. And whilst I have a lot of respect for this car, I'm enjoying it while it lasts, because I don't think I'll ever have the opportunity to drive such a car ever again in my lifetime. This car is somehow related to that muscle car scare back in the day when all those beautiful cars got chopped, and it's almost like a piece of history that was just taken from us. Well, I can tell you, it wasn't taken from us entirely. because in a car like this, it still exists. Can't imagine what it must have been like to drive such a car around Bathurst. For that full 500 miles, flat out. Back in the day, they had no race seats, no support for the driver. They were effectively just slide around the seat. I've heard that people like Alan Moffat got welts in their back, just hanging on from all the cornering and sliding around. They're a muscle car and they required a muscle man to grab these things by the neck and steer them around that track. And at the end of the day, the best man won.